Yeah.
So I wonder if they found a few themselves.
I think so. You're breaking up, so I can hardly hear you.
Oh, really? Is that better?
Yeah. Say that again?
Sorry about that.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay. I better stay over here then. Well, I think that you're going to be getting a lot of interest from the scientific community now that this is out there. And that little red, and now is it plant or animal life that you found? What did the studies show?
It's a sea life. There's no studies done on it yet. I'm hoping to find people that will have the expertise to do an RNA study on it, because a lot of these life forms resemble the life forms on Earth called archaea. That's an old life form, probably the oldest life form on Earth. They're extremophiles. So the extremophiles can live in high temperatures, low temperatures, salty water, very salty water, and acids and things like that. So they can survive that stuff, which is probably one of the reasons that they survived on the little moon Enceladus.
Right. Wow, this is monumental. This is fantastic. You might want to call up Steven Spielberg and get the movie going on this, because it sounds like quite an adventure you've had with this chunk of ice that you've had now for 10 years, and now is magically displaying something the world has never seen before. Extraterrestrial life forms, like you said, very similar to extreme life forms on our planet that live near the bottom of the ocean by heat vents that don't need sunlight and things like that. And that's what you're saying this possibly is.
Yes.
And how many different types of life have you just seen in the few samples that you've taken from it?
Well, I got about 50 photographs, but I think there's about 5 or 6 different types of life there.
5 or 6 different types of life.
There's a halococcus. Is a picture that looks similar to a halococcus. There's a picture that's similar to a halo thermophile. There's another picture similar to a halobacillus. And so there's 3 of them right there that we look similar to. And I'm not a biologist or an expert at all. I'm just saying what I read and what the pictures look like. And that would be even just as tremendous as discovering life, is to discover that we share the same foundational life here on Earth and here over there on the moon Enceladus. All the other moons of the Saturn system is going to have it on it too, because it's just spewing out ice all over the place. If it got to Earth, it obviously got to Titan. It got to the Dion and Tethys and Rhea, and the moons of Jupiter, like Ganymede and Callisto and Europa and Io. It probably got to them moons too. It probably had to hit even Mars at some time, and obviously it hit Earth once, and it maybe hit Earth millions and billions of years ago, maybe even Venus. I think that it really spread that life form all the way through our solar system.
Wow. And if it happened here, it's happening elsewhere. So
that's right.
If a basketball-sized chunk of ice from a whether it's a planet or a moon or a comet or wherever this came from, you're pretty sure it's from I always called it Enceladus, but you said Enceladus. How do you pronounce that?
Enceladus.
Enceladus.
Enceladus. I even pronounce it wrong.
Okay, well, there's lots of different ways you can pronounce things.
Yeah. The gas analysis.
It's one of the ice. Go ahead.
Say that again?
Go ahead, what you were saying.
Okay, the gas analysis I did in 2001 with a reputable scientist shows the same thing that NASA found in 2008 around the moon Enceladus. That's why I point in that direction. And there's a lot of reasons why scientists point in that direction, and NASA points in that direction too. And so that's where I believe it's from. And you can never be absolutely certain, but it's certainly my opinion is from there.
Wow. So what you're saying then is, for the layman out there like me, inside the ice there are gas particles that were formed when the ice was made, and in those gas particles is the atmosphere of the planet and or moon it came from, right?
Yes, yes.
And argon is one of them. And then
argon is one of them.
And Cladius
Enceladus
has the same atmosphere. Wow,
yes,
that's
it does.
phenomenal. So now, if a basketball-sized piece of ice has 5 different alien life forms in it, just think how many that house size where it started before it was burned up in our atmosphere, how many different life forms may have been in that chunk.
Oh, yeah. I've been kicking myself ever since. I left 95% of that ice meteorite on the road. I only picked up the 3 biggest pieces.
Hey,
I left
don't feel
95%
bad.
of it behind.
You're a hero to all of us, because you're proving that an average guy can make an amazing discovery. And
that's right.
It does not matter how much of it you got. You got some of it, and it's conclusive. And
I got enough, and it is
good
conclusive.
enough. That's good enough for me, and it should be good enough for anybody else. And now, let me ask you a question. If a scientist came to you and said, "We want to study this. Can you give us some of the ice?" Would you let them do it?
Depends on which piece of ice I have. I have 2 pieces left. If they wanted to study it for the gas atmosphere, I have one that's full of bubbles. It's full of oriented bubbles because it got squeezed, like the bottom of a glacier, But the other one is a tremendous. If you look at it in the right way, you can see all these particles in it, and it's a tremendous gold mine. It's just better than the other ice I melted. It's got twice as many particles in it and life forms, and I haven't even. I packed it up 10 years ago. I haven't opened it up since.
Well, here's what you do. You take the highest bidder, because if I was a scientist, I would be willing to pay you a good chunk of money to look at that. So I hope that things work out well for you and that you get the fame that you deserve going forward. I want to tell all my listeners right now, tweet this show. Spread this like mad. Okay, let's make this viral. Let's get this guy, Thomas Edison, and Duane Snyder. Let's get him up there with the rest of these discovery people and get this disclosure happening now that we know that there is alien life. 5 pieces of life in a chunk no bigger than a basketball.
Yeah.
Do you know what that does
mathematically?
Pieces,
5 kinds.
Now, mathematically, this is going to change everything, the way that scientists view life.
Yes.
Now that this has been discovered, it makes life much more abundant in space.
That is correct.
Statistically, I mean, wow, I'm just very, very, very impressed. Now, the 2 universities you mentioned that did that work, one in Montreal and one in New York?
Yeah, a lab, not a university, and a lab in New York.
By the way,
which makes the machines that do the time-of-flight test, so they know how to operate them. And they're PhDs
Okay, great. They're not just someone on their back porch with a beaker.
Right.
Right, real scientists. Well,
that's right.
You know what? I think people are starting to kind of like rub their eyes and kind of like open their eyes and look outside and look up a little more, because the same old line we've been getting sounds pretty unbelievable.
I agree.
There are too many people coming out with stories and scientific fact that cannot be denied. This is going to change everything. Of course, now the Vatican's already kind of hedged their bets and said, we can't limit God's creativity.
Right.
So they're opening the door. They're opening the door to accept alien life.
Right.
Of course, now with their discovery. Now, I think you should probably contact the Vatican. Have you thought about that?
No, but if they want to talk about it, they can contact me.
Okay, great. Well,
because one thing I learned about, right? One thing I learned about when I approach the different universities and scientists, beggars cannot be bosses. You cannot ask them to help you and get any help sometimes because, you're begging for the help, and they're going to be the important people with all the important discoveries. Right. So that's why I eventually went and did it myself, is I ended up knowing I could not get it done by asking other people to do it. I had to do it myself.
Well, good for you, and we're really glad that you did, and we're all excited. Super excited about this news because it just shows that life is much, much, much more abundant than we ever thought.
Yeah.
And I would be willing to bet that when NASA makes their announcement tomorrow, they might even mention something about finding their own ice meteorite, because since you've been telling them you found one, they've probably been looking for them, and maybe they found one.
Yeah. I wouldn't put that out there as an impossible thing to do because I did it myself. I think more likely that NASA will probably announce some of their findings that the Cassini probe is finding going around those moons. Methane is sometimes a product made by animals, and oxygen certainly is a product made by animals. So if they find some of that, they know methane's on Titan. Maybe they'll say, well, we really think there's life there. Well, there should be. If there's life on Enceladus, there should be life on Titan too, because Enceladus is just spraying everybody everywhere around that Saturn system with life forms.
Wow. This is like science fiction come true. This is a happy day for ufologists and astrobiologists, people who study this stuff. You got to be getting all kinds of hits on your website, haven't you? I bet you're going to be.
Sure am. I think I got about 34,000 hits yesterday. I don't know how many today, but 104,000 altogether. I've only been up a couple of days, like
Fantastic.
Maybe a week now.
Well, that's the beauty of the internet. You know what? We don't need those fancy government scientists. You funded the research yourself so far. Now that the ball is rolling,
true. Yep.
Now that you got the ball rolling, it's too late. All bets are off. Now the government has to play catch up to you. And congratulations on scooping them on by a couple days on this big story. You must be very happy.
Yes, I am. I feel blessed because I was the first person that ever got to lay eyes and see an extraterrestrial life form. And not only that, I own it. I got to photograph it. I own them things. I got it in my possession. Nobody else got it, but, I can sell them, give them away, whatever. But I own it now. I saw it first, and I couldn't even stop walking around the house for like 6 to 8 hours. I'd walk around, go back and look at that microscope, walk around, go back and look at that microscope, and try to believe what I saw.
Wow. Well, I smell a made-for-TV movie coming. You might want to see the Sci-Fi Channel could be calling you at any moment for a movie deal.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, there's 10 years of story there. There's 10 years of closed doors every time I went somewhere, and some outrageous remarks from some scientists. Well,
if you're a scientist, shouldn't you be open-minded? I mean, come on now.
I thought so. I expected them to say, "Oh, I want it. Bring it here. Let me look at it. I'll do everything I can." No, it's like, you know what? That is so unbelievable that if you call me again, I'm going to report you as stalking me. I had one scientist say that. I had another scientist say, "I don't understand what that means. I don't expect to see that in a meteorite." Well, you know why it wouldn't be in a meteorite? Because meteorites are differentiated. their irons are already the ones that are melted coarse.